Good afternoon. I'm Lillian Govis, Buncombe County Director of Communications and Public Engagement. We're here today at the 4 p.m. October 4th community briefing. This afternoon, we'll be joined by Mission HCA, VA Hospital, and the City of Asheville. First, I'll turn this over to our Buncombe County Manager, Avril Pender.
Thank you, Lillian. Good afternoon. In our 10 a.m. briefing this morning, there were questions about testing water, soils, and well. We reached out to the EPA for guidance. They are aware of potential issues
Good afternoon. I apologize for our technical difficulty there. I'm Lillian Govis, Director of Communications and Public Engagement with Buncombe County Government. We are here today at the 4 p.m. October 4th community briefing. We're joined by Mission HCA, VA Hospital, and the City of Atlanta. But first, City of Asheville. But first, I'll turn this over to County Manager Avril Pender. I formerly worked in Atlanta, so that comes to mind sometimes. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Lillian. Good afternoon. In our 10 a.m. briefing this morning, there were questions about testing water, soils, and wells. We reached out to the EPA for guidance. They are aware of potential issues and they are working to evaluate health concerns. In the interim, if you have concerns, please exercise an abundance of caution. This is not the time to do stream cleanups unless you are part of an official agency or organization. We know that a number of materials were swept into the rivers from industrial facilities, houses, farms, and more. And we all want to restore our community back to its natural beauty as quickly as possible. But please hold off until we have assurance from the experts that it's safe to do so. If you have a well and aren't sure if your water is safe to drink, boil it at a minimum for 1 minute or use it only for flushing toilets. We also had a question about safe reopenings of childcare, and we'll follow up with more on that at tomorrow morning's 10 a.m. briefing. I want to remind folks that we have set up a warehouse at 6 Commerce Way in Arden to receive hurricane relief supplies. We can receive donations from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. daily. Any size vehicle is welcome. We have 7 categories of things that we can accept. These include non-perishable, ready-to-eat food, boiled water, bottled water, cleanup supplies, paper goods like toilet paper, baby supplies including formula, pet supplies, and personal care items. We cannot accept baby food, glass items, furniture, clothing, perishable foods, electronics, and flammable liquids. We will not distribute from this location. These donations will go to community partners to distribute, so please do not come here to receive supplies. We also want to remind people to sign up for our alerts at www.buncombecounty.org/code-red or by texting DC Alert to 99411. We are sending these updates out after each community briefing. Our community paramedics are operating a medical clinic that is now up and running in Black Mountain at 12 Florida Avenue in Black Mountain and can provide medical care for non-medical or urgent care needs except for withdrawals. They are operating 24/7. Again, that is non-medical care in Black Mountain at 12 Florida Avenue, performed by our community paramedics. Vertilli Hospitality will be serving up free hot food, including hot dogs, shrimp and grits, fish and chips, and drinking water tomorrow, Saturday, October 5th, starting at 12:30 p.m. at the Quality Inn and Suites at 1430 Tunnel Road. That is the Quality Inn at 1430 Tunnel Road, where Vertilli Hospitalities will be providing a free hot meal, including hot dogs, shrimp and grits, fish and chips, and drinking water. Please, there will also be a tanker on site for water, so please bring free containers. Please bring your containers for that free water tomorrow at Tunnel Road, 1430 from 12 p.m. until supplies last. With that, I'll turn it back over to Lillian. Thanks.
Next, we will hear from City of Asheville Manager Deborah Campbell. Next, we will hear from Mission HCA.
Good afternoon.
Doug?
Yeah,
Great.
can you hear okay? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. I want to first thank everyone for their tireless efforts and recovery efforts that are ongoing in our community. Our hearts continue to go out to those in our community that have suffered tragedy and hardship during this time. and appreciate all those that are working to care for so many individuals that are needing help. So thank you for everyone working across the region with these efforts. I also want to thank our colleagues here at Mission Health for the exceptional job that they have done in the midst of challenging personal situations that they themselves have been facing following the storm. Their dedication to our patient care has been inspiring, and we're moving mountains to support them. So an update on Mission Hospital specifically, we currently have stable power. We're still without municipal water, but we have created a system where we have a quick connect where from a plumbing perspective, we have pressurized the water system at Mission Hospital, and we've been fully operational for a number of days. Everything is potable water within our facility. So we've got showers, we've got sinks, we've got everything necessary to run our full operations within the hospital. What that requires is 40 to 50 tanker trucks of water to be feeding our system, because we go through about 250,000 gallons of water on a daily basis. So we're still under water conservation, but all of the water within the hospital is potable and has been for a number of days now. So we're very pleased with that. We also have a number of our outpatient clinics and care settings that are opening as we have power, appropriate power, and have deemed that they're safe and sanitary for patients to receive care. So you'll see a number of our sites around the region opening up and caring for patients in need. We've also done an amazing job to support our people, and that's all of our caregivers within the hospital that are focusing their time away from families to serve those in need. And the way that we have done that to keep them healthy and rested is by supporting them in so many different ways. We have hotels to support them if they don't have sleeping quarters. We've brought in laundry and showers and numerous other assets to help them if they don't have the ability to shower. We've brought in numerous fuel trucks for our employees to be able to gas up their vehicles to go back and forth and make it home to check on their families and come in. We've set up mini marts at all of our hospitals and a mega mart where all of our employees can go and receive all the supplies, cleaning supplies, anything that they need to help themselves and their families. So we're really, really pleased with that. We also have an employee-funded Hope Fund, which is a foundation and a charity that's been set up that helps individuals that have been through difficult times. So we've received hundreds of applications for that, and we have approved a number of those, and the dollars are in our employees' accounts to support them financially through a very difficult time. So we continue to care for everyone. All of our emergency departments are open across Western North Carolina. As I mentioned, our care settings are opening up every day, more and more of them, and we're here to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Ash Asanudin, and that is spelled AHSANUDDIN. Doctor?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Ash Asanudin. I'm the Chief of Staff of the Western North Carolina VA Healthcare System. Our healthcare system represents 4 sites of care. We have an outpatient clinic in Hickory, as well as Franklin, North Carolina, and the Master Sergeant Jerry K. Crump Clinic in Forest City. We have the main medical center here in Asheville. It's known as the Asheville VA Medical Center or the Charles George VA Medical Center. What I want to review is the clinical inventory that we have at present, and I thank Buncombe County Emergency Management for allowing us the opportunity to communicate with our veteran population on this platform. Currently, we are under both emergency generator and traditional power. We're able to accomplish limited surgical interventions on an emergency basis. Most of our appointments for routine care were canceled or converted to virtual options but our clinicians triaged all of those patients that were scheduled to come in for those that had the highest acuity. And for those that needed to be seen, we brought them in. The emergency room never closed. We have 24/7 emergency services, 24/7 inpatient services. Our on-site nursing home and rehabilitation center remained open and active. I want to talk about medications for veterans. Veterans can come to the pharmacy in the VA, or they can call the regional contact center. That number is 855-679-0074 and press 1 for farm. Veterans can go to any retail pharmacy within the community care network with either a written VA prescription or an active VA prescription bottle and receive a 30-day supply. We also have a home-based primary care service for veterans that cannot leave their home. And we have been actively reaching out to those patients, and we've confirmed the safety of approximately 95% of them. We continue to communicate with them. We've started to do home visits for those high-risk veterans where the route of travel has been determined to be safe for our employees. As far as the laboratories in the main facility and in the Hickory and Franklin clinics are now operating regularly. The Forest City Clinic, we expect to be fully operational by Monday. Our mental health professionals continue to triage the needs of our patients, prioritizing those who are high risk and vulnerable. We have multiple face-to-face options that continue to happen, as well as virtual options for patients that select that. The Veterans Crisis Line is available 24/7 to veterans in crisis and their loved ones. For free confidential support, they can dial 988 and then press 1, or they can text 838-255. As far as maternal care, we do not offer maternity services at the main facility. However, all of our patients that are pregnant that we have sent out to the community have all been contacted. Our case managers are continuously contacting all other female veterans to ensure their well-being. I want to talk about a couple of successes that we had. One was with home oxygen. We developed a significant collaboration between our social work, prosthetics, and supply chain services, as well as our community vendor for home oxygen. And we developed a pathway for home oxygen delivery and respiratory therapy, which is not something that we normally do. But we felt that those high-risk veterans whose supply was exhausted would allow those veterans to shelter in place and not place any more strain on the community resources. In the shelters that have been developed in Buncombe County, we developed a team consisting of a homeless social worker, a regular social worker, and a pharmacist to go to each of the shelters. And they intend to go to the one on Hendersonville Road at the Gold's Gym and communicate with VA patients that are at those shelters. We're providing a multitude of support for them. We're providing a consistent daily presence from the VA at those shelters. And we're going to add mental health to that. We also have a resource that's a mobile vet center that does mental health care. And we're going to deploy that both in other areas in the county as well as to the shelters, hopefully. We're also developing a process to replicate that function for those displaced veterans in shelters that are in other counties in our catchment area. As far as our team, we expended a significant amount of energy to make sure that all the members of our team were accounted for and were safe. I can say that we've communicated with all of our team members, and we partnered with a lot of outside community resources in order to do that. I did talk about our power. We're on a combination of regular, we call it shore power, regular power, as well as emergency generators. And thank you to Duke for helping us get back online. We continue to manage both of those systems in order to determine that the power is stable because we had to be rerouted. As far as water, we have access to running water. The same as Mission, we have a tank that we have to refill. We have between 8 and 15 deliveries of water every day. We're also testing all that water to make sure that it's safe. As far as communication, all of our communication platforms are fully operational in the main facility, as well as the clinics in Franklin and Hickory. And Franklin and Hickory were offline for only 2 or 3 days. They've already been returned to normal function. We're actively reaching out to veterans who are expressing their needs and concerns on multiple platforms, including social media. We're hosting virtual employee town halls to make sure that our staff stays informed about all the things that we're doing and all the things that they're going through. And we encourage veterans to visit the AshevilleVA.gov website, as well as following us on social media at Asheville VAMC to keep track of any updates. We are accepting donations, and people can feel free to contact the Center for Development and Civic Engagement at 828-299-2514 for all donations and coordinations. We're not currently accepting volunteers. I know Asheville is a community that wants to volunteer, and the veterans are a very special and dear population, but we don't have a mechanism to hire those people to do that work right now. We also don't currently have the resources to provide on-site lodging for veterans and their families. That's the update that we have today, and I'll pause for any questions. At the end? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. And now I will introduce City of Asheville City Manager Deborah Campbell.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Deborah Campbell, as you heard. I serve as the city manager for the city of Asheville. We are on day 9 of our recovery efforts, and I hope you all are managing as best you can under these unprecedented circumstances. At our last briefing, I shared with you the city of Asheville is focusing on 3 priorities. Our number 1 priority is continuing to get water, food, and other basic necessities to our most vulnerable populations and neighborhoods. And I'll provide you with an update on that just shortly. Second priority is the restoration of the Asheville water distribution system. Assistant City Manager Ben Woody will update you on our efforts, including having some images and a little bit of a narration to explain the storm damage and progress that is being made to restore operations of the system. And third priority, overall public safety. And Deputy Chief Sean Artima will provide an update and data around our missing persons and our search and rescue efforts. Mayor Esther Manhammer will come up just shortly after I conclude my remarks to add some additional information. Today, food in the form of meals ready to eat, MREs, and bottled water are available at 3 distribution sites, 2 MRE packages per adult, and 1 per child will be allowed per day. Cases of bottled water are available, 1 case per family per day. Distribution will last until 7 p.m. or until supplies run out. The distribution sites are at the following locations. They're very similar to the ones that we've already stood up. Asheville Middle School, 211 South French Broad Avenue, Linwood Crump Shiloh Community Center, 121 Shiloh Road. Buck water is available at Pack Square, 70 Court Plaza, and a new Buck Center site has opened at Lucy Herring Elementary, 98 Sulphur Springs Road. Please bring your own container if possible, but we do have containers available for those needing them. We are actively working to set up additional points of distribution, as well as continuing to deliver directly into neighborhoods using volunteers, staff, and other partners. We've also heard the significant need to have a distribution point in East Asheville, and we are working closely with our FEMA team to have one established in East Asheville over the weekend. Stay tuned for more details. I'd also like to mention a few other services that are being restored. Solid waste collection. Curbside collection of household waste will resume in targeted areas on Monday, October 7th. Routes are being determined based on road accessibility, and we will be shared when available, and we will be doing that as quickly as possible. We encourage you to download the AVL Collects app on your phone from the Apple Store or Google Play Store to receive notifications about trash and recycling pickup in your area. However, there will be no recycling pickup until the recycling plant is operational. Residents should use both recycling and trash carts for household waste. All waste will be collected as trash at this time by both the City of Asheville and Kirby vehicles. The following materials cannot be collected at this time: mud, construction debris, concrete, and other bulky or hazardous items. Debris collection is estimated to start in mid-October. Transit. Our City Transportation Department, in collaboration with our contractors, RATP Dev, have been working to reestablish transit service to the community. Since the storm hit, our transit services have assisted with evacuation, transportation of shelters, and assisting with targeted deliveries. We plan to have limited fare-free transit available from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday on some accessible routes. Additional information will be made available online this weekend and through our daily paper handouts that we give to individuals who don't have access, obviously, to internet. I also want to note that the U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA, announced today, October 4th, that it has opened a small business assistance center at the Asheville Chamber of Commerce, located at 36 Montfort Avenue. The center will provide an avenue for businesses, nonprofits, homeowners, and renters who have been impacted by the storm, a place to apply for low-cost financial assistance for their recovery. The hours of operation for the centers are as follows: Friday, October the 4th, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., closed on Sunday. Additional details can be found on the Small Business Administration's website at sba.gov. Lastly, I want to say a big thank you to all of our City of Asheville employees assisting in this recovery effort. I mentioned the obvious ones, of course, being our public safety employees, police and fire. And in our last briefing, I listed several departments, but I also said I would be back to continue the list. So thank you, staff in community and economic development, planning and urban design, sustainability, transportation, and last but not least, water resources, who you will see are doing a lot of work to restore our water services. You will hear Ben Woody provide you with an update on the before and the after. We are making progress. And now I will turn it over to Mayor Meinhammer to provide you with an update.
Thank you, Deborah. Just a quick update from me. First, I want to say to everyone who's listening or watching, I hope you are safe and well. I wanted to just give you some information about things that have happened in the last couple of days. On Wednesday, I was able to meet the President of the United States down in Greenville, Spartanburg, and fly with him and Governor Cooper up over Asheville and our area over to Swannanoa, Black Mountain, and down through Chimney Rock and Lake Lure. We were able to view the extensive and catastrophic damage from the air. Joining us in that flight was also the FEMA administrator. And the president, after that, flew to Raleigh to the state's Emergency Operations Center and made some remarks that I won't go over here, but in terms of the assistance that will be and is being provided to our community. This morning, I met with the North Carolina Metro mayors. Those are the mayors of the larger cities in North Carolina. Many of those cities have been providing us with extensive resources, whether it's personnel, police officers, firefighters, public works employees, water department employees. They have also been contributing resources that we need in our community. So just know that the state of North Carolina is doing everything they can to help support this community, and we can see that out there on the ground at this time. Today, also, the FCC chair was here in Asheville. Obviously, we've had an incredible communications challenge in this crisis, and she is looking at that and understanding more about those challenges. We also had North Carolina Speaker Tim Moore here. This is for the North Carolina House. Speaker Tim Moore here in Asheville. And I know the emergency management director for Buncombe County was able to take him and some of our legislative delegation through on the ground to see a lot of the very extensively damaged areas, so he can get a sense of what the cost to make us whole again is going to be. We have, as the manager mentioned, sites that the city is operating within the city to distribute resources to the community. And we have an army of volunteers throughout this community that are rising to the challenge and helping distribute all of those resources. We also have a lot of private contributors in our community, all kinds of groups from around the nation that are here that have established centers everywhere, whether it's a church or a school and other places. And I just want people to understand that it's this partnership, this public-private partnership that is very much needed in a time of this scale of a crisis. And we thank all of those folks that are participating in it. And I think there's been a lot of questions about how is this supposed to work? This is how it's supposed to work. And that's what's happening right now in our community. With that, I'm going to turn it over to, I think we're going to hear next from Ben Woody, our Assistant City Manager, regarding the water update. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ben Woody, Assistant City Manager for the City of Asheville. So I have a lot of information to share today, so this is going to be a fairly extensive briefing. I understand that a lot of people aren't able to see the videos and the images that we're going to share today, but we think if you're able to do that at some point, the videos and still photos that we're going to share should be instructive in helping to better understand the damage that we've received at this system. So I'm trying to make sure our videos are going to work, and they don't appear to be. Here we go. I'm sorry. So let's get started. So what I want to show the community is I want to demonstrate, number one, the damage that we have sustained at our water treatment plants. I'm really going to focus on the North Fork treatment plant, but I'm also going to show some examples of the damage that was sustained to our distribution system, and I'm going to show how quickly some of that work is being completed. So I'm going to kind of ground everybody. The North Fork water treatment plant is our principal treatment plant. It's really the workhorse of our water system. So North Fork, quite frankly, it can power the entire water system. So we can run the whole system off just North Fork, but it's responsible for 80% of our water system. So I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. So this is a priority
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Rosen, can't hear you. County, we can't hear you at all. Zero communication.
They said, please stand by. They're working on it.
Thanks, Jeff.
You look great, Mark, but you know, your video's on, so just FYI.
Oh, we got him back? No, maybe.
I apologize for the interruptions to this broadcast. We are having some technical difficulties here at our Emergency Operations Center. But I will reintroduce Ben Woody so he can resume the presentation where he left off at the North Fork Reservoir.
Okay, thank you again, Ben Woody. I'm going to really just pick up where I was at. So we are talking about the North Fork Water Treatment Plant. Again, today we have videos and still footage. I know everybody can't see that, so I'm going to try to explain that as we start. But I want to ground us a little bit. So again, North Fork Water Treatment Plant can provide water to our entire Asheville water system. Typically, it's going to provide water to about 80% of the system, and that's connected to what Mills River does, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I really want to get started. We are looking at a video that is a still now, but so we're going to start on September 30th. So September 30th was Monday, and that's a few days after the storm. And Monday was when we were finally able to get crews to our water distribution plant and equipment. So the first 2 days after the storm, we used that time, Public Works did, and water, to clear debris and to get access to this property and this distribution system. We have a primary 36-inch and 24-inch line that comes out of the North Fork system. Those two lines were washed away in 2004. They were washed away again in this storm, and we expect that. That doesn't surprise us. What you're looking at on this frame right now is a alternate or a redundant line that was installed. We'll call it a bypass water line as redundancy for another storm event that came. So I'll note this line, this 36-inch bypass water line, this was installed and engineered based on what happened in 2004. So this was built to be able to withstand, and I almost can't believe I'm saying this, a typical hurricane event. This 36-inch bypass water line, this one line, if we can get this back in service, it can provide water to 80% of the Asheville water system. So this is a priority repair for us at this time. For those that can see this image, what I would draw your attention to is on the upper right of the frame, you can see our drone operator. He's wearing a yellow vest. So again, that gives you a little bit of context of the damage that was done. And of course, this line was underground. So the red line, I'm now displaying a red line across the top of the creek bed. So this is normally a creek bed that our spillway spills into. Prior to this storm, you could go out there and with your shoes on, you and I, we could walk across this creek bed. So it's not a river, it's a creek bed. It doesn't even have a substantial amount of water in it at all times. So, and I'm going to show another image, and this is our drone operator. Again, this gives you a little bit of context. This is Mark, and he's probably about 6 feet tall. So what you see is this event washed away almost 25 feet of earth. So again, I want to reiterate that pipe was 25 feet in the ground. That earth is gone. So what we're showing you now is what we call catastrophic damage to this bypass water line. And you see how large the pipe is. This gives context too. We might be able to fit Mark in part of that pipe even. And again, we have a picture of a kind of a typical human being stacked on top of another, so you can just see the damage that this storm did to this portion of the water system. And of course, the pipes I previously referenced, they're gone. I don't know that we've even found those yet. So I'm going to show another picture. So that is so I am missing slides, and pictures are out of order. We don't have the correct images and video stills up, so I'm gonna do my best, or maybe we have a more recent version. I apologize for this, but I'll talk about Norfolk. So what I will say is the pictures we initially showed that showed the damage, they were from Monday, September 30th, and I do have a picture, and I'll verbally talk about this, that will show you what the restoration to that water line looks like on October 3rd. So again, within 3 days, we have been able to make substantial progress on repairing that bypass line. And the picture that I hope I can show, what it will do is show you how we've been able to restore that line. And the one thing that we're doing is we're going to put an elbow in, and that's going to bury that line even deeper than it was. So we had it 25 feet under the ground. As we repair it, because we want to repair it to last, it's going to be more than 25 feet into the ground. And we're going to armor that line. So we're going to provide additional bracing. And so what will then happen is that 25-foot gorge that you basically saw, once the pipe work is done for the bypass line, that will then be backfilled. So we'll put that 25 feet of earth back. And where we'll be is with a transmission line that's functional. Now, of course, we don't have to have all the backfill in place in order for the water line to be functional. So that line, as of October 3rd, was more than underway in terms of its repairs. And I'm going to pause for a second. Are we able to get the other? Okay. And if you can't, that's okay. I'll work with what we have. So. So what I'm going to do to maximize our time, I'm going to use this minute while we get the video and the stills up to talk about our Mills River water treatment plant. So I'm going to go to the end. So Mills River, that is our treatment plant that services South Asheville, South Buncombe County, and portions of North Henderson County. We have really good news on that plant. So that plant, its raw water intakes and pumps are fully functional. So we have our Mills River plant up and running. It is fully functional. If you remember, a few days ago, it was reduced capacity, 2 or 3 million gallons per day. We are producing 5 million gallons per day out of our Mills River water treatment plant. We have charged the system, or at least near the plant, we have a pressure of 160 PSI, and that's what it needs to be. So it's operating at the pressure and the capacity that it needs to. That's great news, but I want to also give the caveat that the best that Mills River can do is provide water to about 20% of our water system. So we've got about 20% of the water system in water. We still got a ways to go. And we actually have, for that, we have our lab staff that is actively right now out sampling the water. We have to sample the water, get bacteria testing, and that is our process in order to return that system to potable water. I can't give you a timeline because that is dependent on the result of that sampling. And I think it's a pretty rigorous test before we can say it's potable. So we're back. That's what I want. Yep. So I'm going to finish Mills River. So we have made tremendous progress with Mills River. I'm going to show you a map. We're going to come back to that. So we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but you know, and again, I'll talk about that a little more, but we've made great progress with the Mills River water treatment plant. So for those that can see, we're going to shift back to North Fork. So if you remember, the original image and video that I showed was 2 days after our crews were able to get there and began the repairs. I'm going to back up one. So that's where we were on September 30th, a 25-foot, I don't know if it's a ravine, it's just a lot of earth is gone. So this is what it looks like on October 3rd. And what you can see is the process of putting the 36-inch distribution water main back together. You see large equipment there moving pipes and installing those. And again, we're going to install that deeper than it was, and we're going to armor it and make it more durable for the future. And you can even see they're beginning to backfill. So we're returning this to what it was prior to Tropical Storm Helene arriving. So that's an important connection for our community. If we can get that 36-inch bypass water line reconstructed, we're going to be able to get water from North Fork Water Treatment Plant into the distribution system. But I'll caution, and I'll show you this in a minute, we have a lot of work to do on the distribution system, and we still have to be able to treat the water from the North Fork Reservoir. So the next image that I'm going to show is actually a video. And so we also, directly from North Fork Water Treatment Plant, we have an 8-inch line that provides water to Black Mountain. So that's another priority for us. What you can see on this video is significant erosion. Again, I remind everybody, these pipes were buried in the ground. So this is the amount of erosion that we experience for a water distribution system. And what you see, the people that can see this, is we have a crew from the city of Greensboro. This is September 30th, right? So this is 2 days. As soon as we could get access, we had a crew from the city of Greensboro repairing that 8-inch line to Black Mountain. And I do want to thank Mayor Nancy Vaughn and Water Resources Department Head Mike Borchers. They called us, I don't even know if the storm had stopped yet, ready to send us support. So this is another municipality in North Carolina that are here rebuilding this line for us. This line, I'll have a shot later. This line is substantially rebuilt. They're backfilling it. So we've made great progress with this 8-inch line, at least from the section from North Fork moving towards Black Mountain. And of course, Black Mountain, they're making their repairs from Black Mountain towards North Fork. So again, this is September 30th, so we're still on Monday. And for those that can see, you can see these are employees that are waist deep in water and mud. They're soaking wet, and this is what the work looks like to restore these water lines. It's hard, grueling, dirty work. So that's where we're at with North Fork. So what I want to do is take a minute to talk about the distribution system. Because again, we have to get water out of North Fork, but we have to get it into the distribution system. So what we're looking at here is a drone video. This is along Old US 70 at Whitson Avenue Bridge. We're starting at Whitson Avenue Bridge where it crosses the Swananoa River. And this is the Old US 70 road bed. This is September 30th. So this is that Monday when we got there. When we could get there, this is what it looked like. Not only are the water lines gone, but the road's gone, the road bed's gone. So this is where we started. And I'm gonna let this video just run. And so for those that can't see this, we're moving from Whitson Avenue Bridge along Old US 70, and we are moving west towards Asheville. These water lines along this road bed are major east-west connectors for our water system. We have to get these water lines established to get water to Asheville. And you can see the condition, what most of the road was destroyed. What little is left is having to be removed. The rest of it, we had actually finished demolishing it. So you have to remove everything at first. You see the debris. So what you're seeing right now looking west is the work that's occurring. This is a combined effort from NCDOT and the contractors that the city contracted with. So all these crews were mobilized on Monday. And we're turning the drone and we're going to go back east towards the Whitson Avenue Bridge. And again, for those that are listening, I can only say that the destruction is severe, and you can imagine what it's going to take to rebuild this. And our drone is going to begin to move back towards Whitson Avenue Bridge. So we're moving east. And you can see, we see equipment that's removing debris and stacking it. Then that's got to get taken off this roadbed. And we're going to do this all the way to Asheville. And we're not working just in this location. We're working all along this location. You see some workers there. I'm sure they're just taking a break. But that pipe you see, that is old pipe. That is destroyed. It's not usable. It has to be removed. And you can see as we move towards the bridge, look at the level of destruction that exists. And this is because that water, when it gets to the bridge, it chokes. And when it comes out of that choke point, it speeds up in velocity and it just rips the road and the earth away. All that has to be rebuilt before we can even think about putting water lines in. And again, this is September 30th, and you can just see the level of destruction that exists. But I have good news. This is 2 days later. It's remarkable, actually. So again, we have a drone that is flying east towards the Whitson Avenue Bridge. And I'm going to let this loop for a second so you can see the progress that was made in 2 days. You see new water line laying on the ground. We were able to get materials here that quickly. And what the public, if you can't see, what we're seeing is a lot of the debris has been removed and we're seeing the reconstruction of that roadbed. Again, we've got to get the roadbed built and stabilized before we can begin to install new pipe. And I just real quick, the city of Asheville has 1,800 miles of waterline pipe. Not all that's damaged. So a lot of it isn't, but some of it is. If we were to lay that pipe end to end, it would go to Miami and back again. So when we repressurize this water system, we have to pressurize 1,800 miles of pipe and fill every storage tank we have, which I believe is close to 42. So we've got to fill all that with water and pressurize it. So I'm going to move to the next slide. I have a series of stills. I'm going to show you 3 still images. So this is at the Whitson Avenue Bridge, we're looking west, and you can see new pipe being delivered and contractors, as they build the roadbed, beginning to place and install that pipe. This is 24-inch water line. This is critical. So we're still on October 2nd. And you see they're having to do this through the debris that exists. This is the next image. You see that debris is beginning to be removed, and you see the roadbed is beginning to be reconstructed, which allows us to put the pipe in. If you look to the right where the person is walking, that's a portion of the old roadbed. So that's kind of where we need to get to. Now I'm going to go to the next still. And this is looking east across the Whitson Avenue Bridge. And again, what you see here is we've gotten the road, the earth is to a point where it is even with the original roadbed. So this is October 3rd, right? So we are now 3 days out from the first drone video that I've shown you, and you can see what this looks like. And where you see the fresh soil that's kind of leveled off, that is where pipe has been backfilled. That pipe doesn't have water in it yet, but it is ready to receive water. And we're going to do a couple more stills from October 3rd. Actually, we have a video, I'm sorry. So I'm going to let this run a little bit. So we are 3 days out. I'm going to let everyone see what the progress was in 3 days. The drone is flying from Whitson Avenue Bridge west towards Asheville. You can see the reconstruction of the roadbed, the stabilization of the bank. These are NCDOT crews, as well as crews that the city contracted with. And you can see the progress that's being made. Again, a lot of the debris is out of the way. The new pipe's getting laid down and prepared for installation. So for those that can't see this, I apologize, but for those that can, you can see the tremendous amount of progress that was made in 3 days. Another still image from October 3rd. Again, this is looking west. Now you can see the entire old road bed is removed and we're building the new road bed back up. Same day, October 3rd, and you can see now we have the debris removed. And if you remember how severe that erosion and damage was as we approached that bridge in one of the original drone shots. So for those that can't see, I think you would describe the progress in 3 days as absolutely remarkable. Again, I've got another still image. It just kind of shows the connection to the bridge, getting us off old US 70 towards Interstate 40. And that brings me to where I was going to talk. So that really, I think what I've just shown you is just a small example of the scale of damage that occurred in our major transmission lines that get from the from the North Fork Water Treatment Plant to the city of Asheville. And again, we are not working in just one section, we are working in all the sections. So this is just a example of what we're having to do. I did talk about the Mills River Water Treatment Plant. And for those that can't see, what we're displaying now is a map of our water system. I highly encourage you not to go try and find your street on this map. This is approximate. Water does what it wants to do. So there's no way that I can tell you exactly where the water is. But what you see on this map is we have an area that is shaded in blue. That is Mills River. We feel very confident about getting water into that part of the system, pressurizing it and testing it and trying to find a time when it's safe to be potable again. I cannot give you a timeline on when it will be potable, but just know we are making good progress. But I also need folks, or everybody listening and folks that can see, we have a lot of work to do to return water to what is basically 80% of the Asheville water system. And with that, I'm concluded. And again, I do want to thank our public works crews, NCDOT, our contractors, and our water department who are doing this work every day. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Next, we'll hear from Asheville Police Department Deputy Chief Sean Ardema with a quick update.
Thank you, everyone. I'll keep my comments brief. Just want to provide some data points for our community. Probably a lot of questions out there about missing persons, as well as other efforts that the Asheville Police Department is providing. Beginning day one, so a week ago today, we hit the ground running with a couple of specialty units that we developed almost immediately. One of those pertained to missing persons. Another was a combination of our existing drone unit combined with some search and rescue teams that came in from out of state, and also began managing outside resources. So I'll start with missing persons. Got some good news and some not so good news, but we're still working hard. To date, we have accepted approximately 300 total missing persons reported to us. To date, we have located 270 of those persons alive and well, and placed them in contact with family or friends, whoever reported them missing. We are working actively right this second, 75 missing persons cases. We are receiving substantial assistance from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, as well as Homeland Security investigations. Pretty much our entire detective division has dedicated themselves to this effort. We know that it's important to find these people, both to preserve their safety, as well as to give some comfort and solace to the family members that are worried about them. So we've dedicated a substantial amount of resources to that, and we very much appreciate those federal partners because they've really stepped in and worked side by side with us since day one. One of the things that we really started developing probably close to a year ago is rapid DNA testing. We have been utilizing that equipment during this process of investigating these missing persons cases. And we've recently received some donations of additional equipment from the private sector to assist us in that regard. And the really good news is in the last 72 hours, those efforts have resulted in us finding and rescuing 3 separate individuals that were reporting missing to us. 2 in the Swannanoa River Road area, Biltmore Village in East Asheville, where us and a combination of a search and rescue team were able to locate individuals trapped in debris and rescue them and get them treatment at Mission Hospital. The 3rd individual was located inside a residence, was mobility impaired, and we were able to force entry into that apartment and get that individual medical treatment as well. So some really good news on that front. Our drone team has been working primarily in the affected areas of the Swannanoa River and the French Broad River. They are working alongside search and rescue teams from the state of New Jersey, as well as the Asheville Fire Department. There are some additional assets coming into the area. And again, with the drone unit, we also are receiving substantial assistance from the private sector. We've got some private sector teams coming in and assisting us flying drones themselves and augmenting our efforts there. One of our other units is outside resource management. So since this incident began, we have received law enforcement support in the form of actual uniformed police officers from over 45 independent police agencies across the state of North Carolina and now throughout the southeast part of the United States. There are more due to arrive this weekend. That first set of units are going to be cycling off and new teams are coming in. We're also receiving, again, assistance from our federal partners as well. They are primarily protecting critical infrastructure, but now they've also begun augmenting our patrols too. So we have more resources out and about amongst the community. Kind of the bad news that I touched on earlier, in the past 2 days, we have had 1 murder, 1 homicide. The suspect in that case, we have disseminated information to the public on his identity. He is actively being sought both by us and the United States Marshal Service. Please visit our social media or any of the local media outlets. They all have published information about his identity and any other identifying information about him. We have had 2 attempted homicides. That individual also attempted, frankly, to murder another individual where he was successful the first time. So I'd just like to emphasize he very much is a threat to the public. So please pay attention to the information that's already been published, and our efforts to locate him are ongoing. We have had 1 hit and run collision that resulted in the fatality of a pedestrian. And that's going to lead me into one of the cautions that I have for our community. There's still a substantial amount of intersections that do not have power and these signals are not active. We've explained before, and I'll reiterate again, please treat signals that are not functioning as 4-way stops. One reason that the curfew has been enacted in Asheville is because of the amount of traffic on the roadways and the amount of intersections where the traffic control devices are not functioning properly. And one of the reasons, again, that curfew exists is to reduce the amount of traffic and try our best to reduce the amount of these type of collisions that are happening. And frankly, this was one of the fears that we had as a result of that. That investigation is ongoing. We have made some headway. Any additional information will be published as appropriate. We have also seen 1 first-degree arson case. An individual set fire to an occupied apartment building in South Asheville. He has been identified and he is in custody. One more reminder to the public is please be aware of scammers. They're in the area, not just the city of Asheville, but throughout Buncombe County and probably throughout Western North Carolina. Any reputable contractor is not going to come up and knock on your door and demand cash payment for repairs to your home. And that's just a fact of the matter. If anyone does that, don't answer the door. If you make the mistake of answering the door, Ask for any type of credentials, any type of licensing, tell them you will call them back later. Do whatever vetting you feel is appropriate and then continue from there. But again, I just want to reiterate, no reputable contractor is going to demand cash payment for repairs to your home on the front end. So that's just something that we really would like to caution to members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. A couple updates we shared about the community paramedics providing medical care. Also want to remind the community that Mercy Urgent Care is available for non-life threatening injuries and illnesses. And so those Mercy Urgent Care locations are open and you can find them at buncombeready.org. Another reminder, parks are still closed. They are dangerous. We know folks are, the skies have cleared and the sun is out and folks are wanting to get out and stretch their legs, but we haven't been able to have our staff go and ensure that those parks are safe for recreation and those staff are diverted to emergency operations. So parks remain closed at this time. I wanted to share an update that our medical examiner is suspending outgoing information about the loss of life in Buncombe County due to this storm. The support team is being put in place by the state. And once that team is set up and established, we will be able to provide additional updates on the number of friends, loved ones, and neighbors who lost their lives in this horrific natural disaster. At this time, we will open it up to questions.
Yeah, I got a question for Ben. This is Mark Lipperman with WLOS.
I'm afraid your connectivity is not quite coming through. You may
How
want to
about
type
now?
your question in the chat.
How about now? Is that any better?
We have a question in the chat, probably for Ben. How many people?
You guys are frozen again. Entire system's frozen.
So
We're back.
we're back.
We're back.
The last question was how many employees work in the city's water department? That is approximately 160 employees work in the city's water department. We also had questions about the assistant manager's presentation. We will make sure that all of those images are available on our website and the City of Asheville's website as well.
I have a question
But
for
if-
Ben. I'm sorry
Ben.
to interrupt.
You're fine.
Ben, this is Mark Liverman with WLOS. Couple questions in relation to the presentation you gave and just the water system ongoing fixing at large. Want to know, first of all, I talked to the mayor in our not our one-on-one, but our media get together on Wednesday evening about the possibility of having some kind of a real-time update for the public and the media to know what's going on a day-to-day, hour by hour, whatever the case may be, when it comes to things like the number of workers that are on site working at that time, what your goals are for that day, what your I guess what you've accomplished, let's say the day before, if we're doing this on a day-to-day basis, with constant updates of that kind, so that we know and can keep track of where we are in the and then on top of that, what's left to do in the entire project for that 80% to get their water back. Why not do something like that?
Well, I'm going to start with saying that those 160 water department employees and those 200 plus public works employees are working every day on 12-hour shifts.
Okay, so okay, that's fine, but all of the rest of it, so individual tasks that are related to the entire system, I think it would be beneficial for you guys and the public to keep that constant and in real time.
We're going to need to let people respond. If we're going to ask questions, we need to let people have an opportunity to give a full and thorough response. Okay?
He stopped talking. That's why I followed
All
up.
right. Move on to the next question.
But what Ben hadn't finished, was there anything else that Ben wanted to say in regards to that? Because other than to say that how many employees there were, I'm just trying to figure out why not do something like that.
We'll move on to the next question.
Greg Farley, Express. I have a question for Ben as well about the Bee Tree plant. Does he have an update on the Bee Tree Reservoir? Thanks.
So yeah, thank you for that. I want to thank NCDOT. They have restored access to the Bee Tree William DeRural plant. So we've made good progress there, but I want to give context to everybody. The William DeRural plant, also known as Bee Tree, its average production is 3 million gallons per day. We work on it. We're trying to get it back in service. North Fork can produce up to 31 million gallons per day. So we have our biggest focus is on North Fork and the distribution system. Bee Tree is a very small plant in terms of trying to provide water back to 80% of our distribution system.
This is John Boyle with Asheville Livestock. I have a question for Mayor Mannheimer.
Mayor Mannheimer had to move on to her next appointment, John. You can email that question to their PIO team and they can get that to her.
Will do.
It's Laura Lee.
Got a follow up again with Ben, Mark with WLOS.
Go ahead, Mark.
Ben, so I wanted to just follow up on that. What is the plan in terms of real-time updates when it comes to the progress?
I appreciate your question, and we want to keep the community informed. That's why we're here today showing video images, but your ask is logistically impossible. We are barely over a week from being struck by a severe hurricane, and every city employee is working 12-hour shifts, and we have to repair this water system. We will give you as much information as we can and be as timely as we can, but we are in the recovery process from a major tropical storm that created catastrophic damage for our community, and our community is our priority. Thank you.
Hi, it's Laura Lee at Blue Ridge Public Radio. I had a couple questions for you, Ben.
All right, Laura.
Thanks for the information that you've been able to provide and the imagery and the video as well. So if I understood you correctly, 80% of the water here is provided by North Fork to the entire system. And then it sounded like we said 20% was at Mills River. And I'm wondering, did that number shift from 70 to 80 because you're going to add additional capacity to North Fork to compensate for Bee Tree?
Yeah, maybe the better way to think about it is, let's start here. North Fork water treatment plant by itself can provide water to the entire Asheville water system. So it's more a question of, or maybe the better way to think about it is, the capabilities of the Mills River water treatment plant is to provide water to about 20% of the water system.
Okay, so if and when North Fork is back up and running, presuming Mills River continues where it is, we would have the entire system covered without Bee Tree. Is that what I'm understanding?
Okay. Yes, that is correct.
Sorry, I wanted to make sure we got that in terms of the math.
I apologize. I know we had some technical issues, but we have time for one final question.
I think this is one more question for Ben, and I think this is probably something on a lot of journalists' minds in this room right now. I know Ben understand. I appreciate all of the information that you give out and have given out today as well.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Yeah, sorry again. It's Mark with WLOS again. Ben, I know you can't give a timeline, and I understand many of the reasons why. Can you give us an idea of when you'll be able to give more of a timeline when it comes to the water system for the city of Asheville and everybody else in Buncombe County for that matter.
Same question, two different ways. A
No, I'm
timeline,
not.
the same question.
An idea of when we can be provided with a timeline. I don't think that is an unreasonable question.
Hey, this is Gerard Albert with Blue Ridge Public Radio. Can HCA give an update to the other
Gerard?
hospitals that they own and operate?
Gerard, can we have 1 second? We were finishing on Mark and then we'll move on to your question. And
Okay, I thought you had shut him down already. Sorry.
It's hard on Zoom. Just 1 second. We'll finish Mark's question, then we'll move on to Gerard's question, and then we'll close it out for the afternoon.
So I'm not going to provide a timeline, and I'm not going to provide a timeline on when I'll provide a timeline. But what I will tell you is we will update this community when we have information, and we'll be here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, provide updates, and we'll be here Tuesday and Thursday to answer questions. And as soon as we know things, we will share it with this community. Thank you.
I also want to make sure folks know we will continue these briefings through the weekend, 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So just because it's the weekend doesn't mean that we're going to stop this cadence, and we'll have City of Asheville representatives here, and we'll be sure to let you know when that is. Gerard, final question.
Yeah, this is for HCA. They own and operate a bunch of other hospitals, obviously, in Western North Carolina that aren't Mission. Do we have any update on those? Is HCA there anymore?
Gerard, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, we've lost Greg with our technical issues, and so we won't be able to provide a response to that. But I know that Blue Ridge Public Radio has the contact information for the HCA Mission
Okay.
public officer.
Can
I
we
do
ask
wanna-
a question of the deputy chief instead then, just for clarity on some of the numbers?
Yes,
You
you may.
said 300 people missing at first, and then he said 270 were located alive, and then you said something like 75 active cases. I just wanted to check the numbers on that.
Yeah, the 350s approximate, so that number is constantly in flux. Some of those come in as just welfare checks. So what we're finding is some may be a welfare check on one person, and then it turns out the person who filed the report ended up making contact. So we never really end up investigating the case. Another thing we're finding is someone will file one report, and it turns out they're actually wanting to report multiple people. So I can't give you an approximate number, or I can't give you an exact number on the total number of missing people. That's why it was just approximately 350 to date.
Gotcha, but 75 active cases is accurate, right?
Correct. That was as of about 1 p.m. today. Started today at 8 a.m. with 77. So we located 2 more people safe and sound between the time I got to work this morning and about 1 p.m.
Awesome, that's great news. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
We thank you for participating today. As a reminder, we will be back again at 10 a.m. for a community briefing, and then again at 4 p.m. for a community briefing. We will be in future briefings, including representatives from elections. We know that there are a lot of questions. Absentee ballots have gone in the mail. And so what does this mean for our general election? We also will have representative from solid waste to talk about what the waste collection schedule will look like next week. And we'll also have folks from environmental health who can talk about wells and, when restaurants can reopen and those sorts of things once they regain power and water. So we will be providing those updates in the coming days, and we will look forward to seeing and hearing from you then. Thank you.